Hello everyone, I'm glad to welcome you to the Captain German channel. And sometimes we share our experiences and talk about purchases that can make a yachtsman's life easier. You know that dive equipment on a boat is super important, especially if you dive. There's probably nothing more to discuss on that. But if you need to check whether something is tangled around your propeller, to check something underwater, to have a full set of BCD and tanks. There are devices that make it easier. So today we will tell you about a small tank for a monkey dive. If you don't know what a monkey dive is, it's when you don't wear a full suit. You simply grab the tank, take the regulator in your mouth and dive down to the bottom. So the device I'm going to talk about today is a small tank for a quick dive like that. Can it be used? We'll also discuss using it for a longer dive today. I'll show you how everything works. Ready? Let's go. Our first task was, of course, short technical diving, as I mentioned earlier, to quickly check something. Additionally, since we dive, you can take such a tank with you if you're diving deep. And you need a tank called last breath. For example, when you have decompression and you're surfacing and need a little more air because your main tank ran out. And also, when you go to the bottom for fishing and get a spear stuck or drop something. So we were looking for such a tank, and here it is on Amazon, a little over $200. We decided that this is a reasonable price and suits us. I had the task of buying a small tank. I found a half-liter one that you take in your mouth. But after talking to people who use it, I realized it's not quite suitable because it lasts probably for about 2 minutes. Maybe it lasts longer in a calm mode, but don't forget that when you go underwater, you have an overuse, a super large expenditure of energy because you need to push against something. Twist something, in general, you're consuming air is exhausted. Therefore, a small half-liter tank is not suitable for this purpose, exactly for this reason, but something slightly larger, yet not too big, is ideal. We found on Amazon this kind of tank. I think they are different brands and it's likely just a sticker on a Chinese small tank. Well, let's take a closer look at what's here. So our setup is completely ready. Here we have the first stage. On it, there is a small pressure gauge that shows 200 atmospheres, maybe slightly more. This is usually what we use with cylinders. After the first stage comes what you put in your mouth. It has no regulator here. It's just a standard, the cheapest unit you'll use here along with diving. Open it. You see there's a small mesh here. This mesh is needed to prevent any debris from getting inside when filling the tank. There's an additional outlet here. It's for high pressure. You can attach something there, some kind of transmitter to connect to your watch if needed. Opens, closes, the regulator that, as usual, screws onto the tank. Now, we've had this small tank for a year. Take a look. Well, these things here are probably from it getting knocked around. But generally, since this tank is aluminum, the paint job, well, it's so-so. So you see, it's already from being underwater. Already some corrosion has started here. Interestingly, the stickers on it are still intact and haven't fallen off. These stickers indicate that the tanks are made in China and any branding that is applied to it can be chosen in this form factor. I think the brand doesn't matter. And here it says that it has been tested at 3 atmospheres. When servicing these tanks, they must be marked with the date and other information. As for the standard first stage, one downside I noticed is that when you dive deep, about 10 meters, you have to pull it fairly hard. So this regulator is quite simple. It doesn't have an adjustment. The amount of air that goes like for 10 meters no one will go in it because it will last for 3 minutes. It's not needed. Well, anyway, here's just an ordinary system for it too. There's a bag that you can sling over your shoulder. I'll show you where I'm going underwater. But in terms of storage and diving overall, everything is well thought out. They did a good job and made a decent product, the device. And the cover itself, it's already a year old and it hasn't come apart or fallen apart, even though I use it there periodically. Not as often as it might seem, but nevertheless, there are no signs of wear at all. This convenient little bag comes with the set. When you insert it into the pouch, you simply tighten the strap like this, and there's a clasp here. Just close it, and that's it. The tank is securely fastened in the bag. To put it on yourself, one clip below and another that goes over the shoulder. In general, everything is designed quite conveniently. Let me put it on now and show you. The cylinder is put on like this. One strap goes over the shoulder and the other around the waist. And right here are two buckles. One snaps into the other. So while you're doing it, everything is right in front of you. You can take a look at the pressure gauge. And when you dive underwater, that's how it works. Now let me show you how to feel it. If you have diving equipment on the boat, you can fill it up using the dive compressor. If you don't have a dive compressor, then you can fill it from a regular dive tank. If you have neither the first nor the second, you can buy a special pump, which you will use to pump until the entire tank is filled. This takes a lot of time, but nevertheless, if you have no other option, that's fine too. This high pressure pump, by the way, is quite good. Even though it takes a fair amount of time, you need half an hour to fill your small 1 liter tank. This pump has a filter at the bottom that filters out any impurities like oils. There's a small carbon filter at the bottom, and this is very important because if there's any oil or something like that when you're filling the tank and you inhale it, it won't be pleasant, and having to surface quickly in panic is not exactly fun either. That's why there's a filter, and in principle, you can fill the tank with air of decent quality. However, since we have both a compressor and tanks, we usually fill it using the simplest and fastest method from the tank. The only thing is you need to buy an adapter separately or ensure when purchasing the tank that this adapter is included. This is because it is filled through this small adapter, and it must be possible to attach a special hose and the part that will be attached to the cylinder. You can see the quality of this adapter is just bad because this part is high pressure. They often come and made from hard metal, but as you can see, there's some corrosion. Although it is just on the connectors themselves, it's not serious, just unsightly. And this part attaches just like on a BCD with the same type of fitting. So you take it, press, remove the ring, and attach it right here. That's it. This part is secured, and this part here also comes with a manometer. You attach it to your dive cylinder. When you buy an adapter, pay attention to what kind of fitting you have. We have a yoke fitting here, and there is also a DIN fitting. This is our DIN, and this is our YOK. This fitting we have is for yoke. It is all simple here. You unscrew it. To attach it to the tank, do it the same way as with a regular buoyancy control device. Insert it and tighten. It's very important to check that this screw is tightened because it releases pressure after you've used it and want to remove the entire system. So while you're refilling, Make sure this screw is tightened. The system is now assembled. The adapter and hose are attached to the tank. Next, we open it. The first stage on the tank. Everything is prepared here, and then everything is very simple. You unscrew it, the tank itself. And let's go ahead and fill it up. It literally takes a couple of minutes. You leave it like this and watch until it fills up. There is a pressure gauge here that shows how much you've filled. Leave it for a while, and that's it. Filling this tank takes about 20 seconds. You screw the tank closed after filling and open the pressure relief valve to release the pressure from the line. That's it. Now, after you've done this, you can screw the tank back on. All right. Our tank is filled. The gauge here shows the green zone. It's warmed up a bit, which is typical when filling with air. That's it. You remove it, and your tank is filled and ready to use. Next, you remove it. The adapter itself. That's it. Your small tank is lightened by the volume of air. So in principle, you can probably do such fillings, well, quite a bit. I mean, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 refills from one tank. All right, let's go. Let's unscrew. Checking. It works. The pressure is in the green, normal. I'm going underwater now. I need to unscrew the anodes and change them. I'll also clean the propeller. I'll make it clean. And to clean the water intake for the sail drive. But I am putting on my bicycle helmet because I'm constantly hitting my head and getting cut on various barnacles and other unwanted things. So I'll be going down like this. I came up, you see, with an empty tank. You saw what I was doing underwater. Let's take a look. So how much time did that take me? 3 minutes and 11 seconds. The tank lasted with quite active air consumption. There's your result. All right. Now I'll refill it once more for the sake of the experiment. I'll dive again with a full tank. The system is set up again. We open it and pump it up. We're loaded again. The second time with a full tank. We reset the timer. Okay, when I go underwater, I'll start the timer and we'll measure how much time we get. Here are our anodes. This is the one that was on the propeller end. It's completely destroyed, and these ones are still more or less decent. Well, it's clear that everything needs to be replaced because the zinc is eroding. What's left is really unclear. There's also growth here, but I cleaned everything so it fits tightly. So basically, that's it. Two A nodes have been replaced, one surrounding the sail drive and one on the end. That's all. Okay, the pressure has gone into the yellow zone. I've been underwater for 3 minutes, but I tried to breathe very sparingly. Still, my breathing got uneven. Now I'm taking the anodes to put them back in place. Let's see how long this tank will last this time. The tank has been refilled for the third time. Now I'm going to install the remaining anodes. In short, I only installed the central anode. The tank ran out a second time. This time, I breathed very economically this time. Now we'll inflate it for the third time. I'll go dive and place it. Okay, the system is ready for the third time. We're filling the tank. Well, it's pouring in. So 3 minutes and 20 seconds. By the way, I highly recommend using a bicycle helmet, because when you're under the boat, your head is constantly scraped by all sorts of growths. Now, back to the tank. Empty. In general, you need 3 tanks to change the boat, and that takes about 10 minutes. This is how the air is consumed in a small 1-liter tank. Considering that I inhale, hold my breath well, dive, work there, breathe there, surface, and exhale. If I did this inefficiently, the tank would run out twice as fast. How else can you use this tank? Let's say diving, but not for recreational diving, to explore the beauty of the underwater world. It won't last long. However, for instance, if something falls overboard and the depth there, if the depth is 5, 6 or 7 meters and you can't hold your breath to dive, it will be suitable. The manual states that it shouldn't be used deeper than 10 meters because, as I understand, the pressure isn't sufficient and you would have to draw the air out yourself and it will only last for about 3 breaths. Suppose something gets stuck under a rock, like a spear gun or your arrow, something quick like that. For instance, if you're going spear fishing, if your spear gets stuck somewhere, you take this tank, go to the bottom, and you can stay there a little longer than you could by just holding your breath. In general, it works great for these purposes. Well, folks, you've seen how this tank works. Let's summarize. It's a decent tank for quick dives, fast descent underwater to look at something, or untangle a net. If you want to dive, I think you can stay up to 10 minutes at a depth of up to 5 meters if you breathe economically. If you breathe in overpower mode when you're doing something, the amount of time you can spend on this tank under the water at 1 to 2 meters, you saw in today's episode. Now you can make an informed decision whether you need this little tank for your monkey dive or if it's just a gimmick. We decided that this solution is good for us because we can use it more flexibly. Alright friends, subscribe to the channel, check the bell. Remember, we have a Telegram channel. To join, you need to go here. That's the end of our episode. We'll continue to share interesting and fun content with you about the device we use in our daily life. See you in the next episode. Bye.